What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the We Are One podcast. And my guest today, Brother Isaiah. What's good, bro?
Hey, I'm doing good, bro. How are you, bro?
I'm doing well. Despite the circumstances of the world and society and my personal life and whatnot, I'm doing pretty good.
I love to hear that, man. Anything else, as long as you're doing good internally, that's all
I
that
feel
really
like
matters.
it's all perspective.
Yeah.
Where, like, when I get in my ruts, it's like just because I have a shitty outlook, right? Once like one thing goes my way, like we were just talking about, like momentum. Once like one thing goes my way, it's like snowball effect. Boom, 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 boom. Like all this goodness, right?
Yeah.
But then it's like it can go the opposite direction too. Once I shift my perspective, I got this shit outlook. Boom, boom, boom. Everything's shitty all of a sudden, right? But then all of a sudden it'll flip every now and then to go the other direction. So I'm trying to be in control of my perspective.
Hey, I can relate to that, bro. Just on the aspect of like it's one thing for me with the way that my life turned out, where I kind of had more of like luxury of time to kind of like do what I wanted to do. I used to play ball in school, right? So that only takes up a few hours of the day. The rest of the time of the day, if I'm not doing schoolwork, is really what I want to do. But I've had a job, a consistent job for about a year and some change now. And what I've been learning to do, bro, is just conquering my attitude, kind of like shifting your perspective. Like you said, like some days I do not feel like going to work. And I was telling some of my coworkers that like, yeah, it's a struggle. It's like a battle of the mind almost, in the aspect of like, I could leave my job anytime I want to. Just when things ain't going my way, I could walk out and do this if something's not going right. I'm not feeling it. But a lot of decision can be based on feelings, you know, and I'm trying to conquer like my attitude aspect.
Sometimes it's so hard to like be in control of your mood. Like it's so often so far outside of my control, it feels like, where like I kind of have the understanding that I'm in control of at least, like we were saying, our perspective and outlook. But sometimes that mood will like come in, you feel like shit, and then it fucks with your perspective, right? It's like, feel like shit, everything is shit all of a sudden, right? Yeah. Getting up and getting out of bed for work sometimes is a bitch.
It is.
But do you ever like, when you do the thing you don't want to do, at the end of it, you're like, oh, I feel fucking great. Right? It's like, I feel accomplished. Check that one off, right? Like I know for like my anxiety, like if I'm real anxious or like overwhelmed, if I make a to-do list and I just go one by one and start crossing things off, every time I cross something off, I feel a little bit better. A little bit better. Because when I'm like super overwhelmed, it's just like I don't know where to start. So then I put it down on paper, start crossing things off, and then I can look at even like the most minute things, like sweep the floor. Like that wouldn't typically be on your to-do list, because for me that's just what I do almost multiple times a day, right? But if I put it on the to-do list and then I do it and I have the chance to cross it off, it's like that sense of accomplishment, right? It's like in video games when you're doing challenges. You ever play video games at all?
I used to, bro. I stepped away from the video games like late high school. Okay. But
probably smart.
When I was young.
if you don't intend on like streaming and being competitive, probably smart to step away from video games. Yeah. But it's like with challenges. Sometimes, like I got homie he's a completionist. That's what we call him, or he calls himself, where he'll start a video game and he can't put it down until it's complete entirely. Because he's just like, I don't know, maybe it's like addicted to that feeling of accomplishment and crossing things off.
No, man, I understand. I feel that in its totality. I had a conversation with a guy. His name is Rick Diamond. And he was telling me...
That's a dope name.
It is, isn't it? How your last name be Diamond?
That'd be sick.
So I was talking to him. He's a very successful guy in regards to business. And he was telling me, like, as a business person, most of the time he doesn't feel accomplished because there's always that next thing to do. I think with most people, they always have their eyes set on, like, what's to do next? You know, we kind of program that way. And he was telling me, like, some of the best accomplishments are just like sweeping the floor, knowing that it's complete. When you have something that you can actually complete, that's when you feel the most happiness or the most successful, is that you can complete it. He was telling me, like, I used to, whenever I felt like I had to like mow the lawn, or shovel the just real small, simple house chores, right? Or shovel the snow. He was like, once I felt that completion, I felt really great. And that was just his perspective. But I was just, alluding to what you were saying.
Yeah, I can definitely relate to that because I have that constant feeling of like not doing enough. I could do more. What's next? Like I'll be doing something, then I get caught up thinking about what's next. Yeah. Yeah. So I feel like crossing off those little things is nice to just like, it's like being present, right? Yeah. I'm sweeping the floor right now. That's my task. But that's kind of besides the point.
No,
it is the point.
It's all in relation.
But right. Yeah. Who's Isaiah McKay?
Isaiah McKay is a child of God, for one. He is he's a creative. He's a student. He's a humble individual. Yeah.
Dope. I appreciate hearing that. So you and I met originally where you're friends with Wesley, right?
Yeah, I'm good friends with him since high school.
Dope. So listeners of this podcast will know Wesley. He's been on here a couple times now. I think 3 times now. Nice. So shout out Wesley for this introduction.
Shout out Wesley.
I have the opportunity to produce the Dialogue to Destiny podcast, which is with Wesley's dad and Steve. And that's where you were at this past Saturday, right?
Yep.
And that's where we met for the first time.
Yes.
That was pretty dope. I enjoyed that conversation. I liked what you were talking about. I knew that there were things in that conversation that I would have maybe questioned a little bit more on. So that's why I was like, all right, let's just have Isaiah over here then too. Perfect. Where we can have our one-on-one conversation. So yeah, welcome to the show. So where are you from?
Thank you. I am originally from Minneapolis, but more specifically Brooklyn Park. I lived in Minneapolis for about the first 7 years of my life, and then moved to Brooklyn Park. In between Brooklyn Park to Fridley, and then back to Brooklyn Park as well. Okay. So I claim mostly Brooklyn Park. That's where I'm
from. You're 25?
25.
Did you go to high school in Brooklyn Park?
I did Park Center.
Okay. My cousins are kind of from that area, but you probably won't know them. I'll ask you after the show. Okay. We ain't gonna put nobody out there like that. So what medium of art are you operating within?
Right now is clothing and poetry. As of right now, those are 2 things that have really just sort of made me think very critically, just growing up in life and how to see certain things. Just art in its totality, of course, but those 2 are something that I've always kind of like had some inspiration behind, and looking at life differently.
Which one came first?
In regards to inspiration or regards to creation?
Which one like came to fruition first that you actually started creating through that medium, like poetry or clothing design?
I would say clothing. Actually,
I get the feeling that they almost go like hand in hand. Though.
They do because all of the time that you spent looking, observing, sort of like conjuring in your head or writing stuff down to yourself, you kind of already been doing what you've been doing without knowing that you've been creating. Because it all leads up to what
that absolutely makes sense completely. Because I have like personally, I have interests that I kind of take this like trial and error approach to life, right? And like I'll try new things and maybe I love it, maybe I don't, but I always have something to take away from it, right? So like there's been things throughout my life that kind of lead me to podcasting now. Like I picked up skills in sales that help me with podcasting, where like you said, they all kind of lead to the next thing, right? Like the thing I was doing before is going to make me better at what I'm doing next. It might not be obvious in which ways I'm being assisted in that with that past experience, but after long enough and enough reflection, I feel like it becomes obvious, like, oh, building rapport with people. Like I had to do that in sales. I kind of have that naturally, but I learned more of like the technical part of building rapport through like sales classes, right? So just interesting. I like how you somewhat alluded to that. You didn't bring your poetry book.
Hey, you a really good observer. We were in the car too, and on my way here, like 5 minutes into the drive, I snapped my fingers and I was like, shoot, I forgot my poetry book.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask you if it was okay to maybe we like insert like a photo or something like that in that regard.
Yeah, I mean we can figure something out if we what's the name of the poetry book?
The name of the poetry book is Out Loud, by myself and also my lovely girlfriend and co-partner in my business Emerald's brand. Her name is Deja Hodges. She is a graphic designer, videographer, photographer. She is everything that I'm not. So we kind of just like being both.
That's dope.
Yeah, she's my better half.
To your
yeah,
yang,
she's my other half.
Jelly to your peanut butter.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? But you need bread around that still, so that doesn't really even make sense.
Yeah. But that's what we create is the bread.
The bread. Oh.
Yeah. So we
I
already
fuck with that.
Yeah.
I fuck with that. We might have to clip that out and hold on to that. So talk to me a little bit more about your poetry.
All right.
Because poetry for me personally, like I'm real interested in writing, but I've never really taken it too seriously. Like I've written some things, loved the way the words flowed off my pen, and when I say it out loud, I'm like, damn, that sounds kind of poetic. Like not that I was intending to write a poem, but you get what I'm saying. So I guess I'm curious as to like what made you even start to write poetry? What are you trying to get out with your poetry? What inspires it? Talk to me a little bit more about some of that.
Really, I've always thought about it. I mean, I've had luxury of time, right? So I've always had downtime to just kind of like, I've been afforded, honestly, bro, like to have the luxury of time to where I've been able to sit with myself a lot, as opposed to a lot of other people that may have like impoverished backgrounds or certain responsibilities in life. People have all different things that they have going on in their lives, which they don't have enough time to actually sit with themselves and discover like who they are. I was more so blessed and afforded to have that time. So that's really where my inspiration came from, was just in self-discovery. I want to be expressive and out loud of something that inspired me from when I was a little boy, which was music. Any artists, spoken word artists, rappers, singers, anything in that regard. But I wanted to figure out an avenue where I can share my perspective on the world too, which is why I name it Out Loud. It's a series that will be documented from here on out. But that's really where my inspiration came from, man. Kind of just where it started. All just came from me just conjuring about, well, how do I look at life? Because that's how I think that authors write what they write too. It starts from a perspective is truth. Is what I've come to learn about life, and that what anyone writes, that's their truth, you know, and that's what truth is. So I wanted to also speak about what I felt and experienced, which is my truth. So I want to be out loud in that regard. Yeah.
So
okay, go ahead.
Well, I was just so it stands out to me as a true medium of art, right? Where you're using it as a vehicle to express your authentic experience.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And to me, that's what art is. Just like art can take so many more forms than I think people realize. Right. Like I've been classifying like podcasting as art, because when we're sitting here, we are hopefully authentically expressing ourselves, our ideas, and our experience. And to me, that's art. So it could be podcasting, painting, poetry, clothing, right? There's so many different forms that art takes, and I don't think we really realize that. So then I've been saying along with that like the future to me is art, and that simply like boils down to people just being like authentic, being genuine, right? And the things that they do, the things that they say, the things that they participate in, it's going to be more hopefully a true representation of who they are as a person, as opposed to just like doing what the man says or doing what you're supposed to do. Because if someone tells me I'm supposed to do something, I'll be like, I ain't supposed to do shit. Right. I'm supposed to do what I want to do. Right. Like, and if I, you know, that could go deeper, because you don't always want to do the things that you need to do. Right. But I'm choosing to do them. So I'm signing up for the things that even I don't want to do. So really I like want to do them. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I get what you're saying, and in light of that too is, looking at like what you said about art being in the most authenticated way. Art really is, because what I've learned about life, what I was just previously saying, is that authors write their truth, right? Perspective is really truth. And what's so cool about it is that like creation, it falls back on creation. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And what I like to do too, bro, with my poetry is that it's not only it's more so not an avenue for me to just get out what I need to get out, but it's for everyone else. So that, cause I learn when I look at people, bro, I look at, like I said, in the last podcast, Dialogue to Destiny, where when I look at you, I see me, Justin, and that's how I look at people. So in knowing that, this isn't also for me to just get out my ideas and my perspectives, because I constantly learn. There was something I wrote about a year and a half ago. I wrote, I know less every day. So the more I want to actually know, the less I have to know. And that's just getting an observation and knowledge from other people. That actually sharpens me. You know what I'm saying? It actually feeds me more if I get. That's why it's so cool to me that there's so many cultures, there's so many different races, there's so many ethnicities, because you continue to keep learning. You know what I'm saying? From so many different people, the ways they look at life. And I just want to be a vessel. I just want to be in the crock pot of all these ingredients that's in it. You know what I'm saying?
I feel that completely. You're just trying to bring some flavor to the pot.
That's all I'm trying to, I'm just trying to bring an analogy to it. Yep.
So when you were talking right now, one of the things I thought of for somehow, some way was that, and it's a new idea, so bear with me, but it's almost as if like art is God.
I'm glad you brought that up. So I look at God in that light. Just because he created it all, right? And in creating it all, he created human beings. So we're creators from the creator. You know what I'm saying? We create. So we have, and I love this aspect too, that you shed light on this, because this has been something that has been on my mind too, especially this entire year. I think people should understand the value of what they possess too. You know what I'm saying? God works through people. You have God living in you. You know what I mean? By the way you can create every day. You know what I mean? How you can speak, how you can behave, how you can walk, how you can talk, how you think about yourself, how you can love. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So I really believe in that. I believe in that aspect too, that God is art as well.
That's why I believe when Kanye says I am a God, he's saying what we're saying right now.
Exactly. And God, from what I've learned, truth is it gave us free will. Perspective. Truth.
So, are you religious generally?
I do have a Christian background. And I've studied, and I believe in Christ. But what my traditional religious background is, I more so have a personal relationship with God myself, if that makes sense.
To me, it makes perfect sense.
I like to model what I've read and what I've observed and what I've been taught on an everyday basis, so as opposed to some days.
Have you heard Tech Nine's Clusterfuck by chance? Do you listen?
I know a little bit about Tech Nine, but not too much about what you talking about.
So one thing you alluded to before that stood out to me, and even more so now thinking about this Clusterfuck track, where you were talking about like the pot and all the ingredients in the pot making up the bigger picture, right? Yeah. Something along that line. Not exactly what you said, but in Clusterfuck, Tech Nine talks about how he grew up with a multitude of different religions kind of trying to influence him, from like his mom, his stepdad, and then like I think it was like his community. He talks about it in the track. But he one of the things, there's like a little interlude, and maybe it's the intro, but he's talking about throwing it all of it in a cauldron, and letting the bullshit burn off it, and then just like what's left is what I take, what I need, right? And it that's like my approach to like a religion and spirituality, where I personally don't necessarily follow a particular religion. I'm not going to necessarily call myself Christian or Muslim or whatever. Yeah. But I think there's things to be learned from each one of those major religions. And I've had deep enough experience that have shown me that there's something. In my experience, I feel like we could go deep into this, but I feel like I've experienced God before, right? Yeah. Where through a few different ways. One was 5-MeO-DMT, which is a intense psychedelic substance. Okay. It's like a 20-minute experience. Have you ever heard of something called the violet flame? No? Never. It goes deep. Just Google that maybe later. The violet flame. But that's somewhere that I felt like 5-MeO-DMT, a place that 5-MeO had taken me to. And it's almost as if we like transcend this reality briefly in this experience, and you fall away into like nothingness, and you are absorbed by this like separate energy sphere, right? It's like ethereal. You don't have a physical body anymore, and you don't know where the plane ends and where you begin. Like you are just a part of this whole thing. And it's kind of where the name of this podcast comes from. We are one. The reason I want to talk about this is because we were talking about, you were saying, when you see me, you see you. And I think that's almost like directly in line with some of that same idea, right? My I think belief at this point in time is like, we're just like physical vessels of collective consciousness, right? We're individuals experiencing this reality, but then deeper is like a group consciousness where we all kind of, it's like a pool where we all kind of draw ourselves as individuals from, and different ideas. You know how like you have an idea that just like pops into your head, and you're like, oh shit, like
where'd that come from?
Where'd that come from, right? And I feel like I've been to that place, right? So that's why like no religions really stand out to me as one that I want to just like latch onto. But I think there's something to be taken away from each one of those religions, because I think what they all have in common is that they're trying to express the same thing, right? Just from different perspective, different experience, right?
And you just hit it on the nail, Justin. And I want to say this too, bro. Just as a respected individual, that you're not in no wrong way in how you seek out God, and two, how you view it. You know what I mean? Because what I've come to learn is that there's so much division. People will get defensive, like, "Oh, wait, what? You don't believe it? You don't believe in this, or you go this way with this religion, or you a part of this group, or you're a part of this." It's so much division that happens in life,
that
bro.
Speaks to the need for tolerance.
Exactly, right? And like, but people get defensive when like, oh, their thoughts aren't in line with mine, how I see God, so I'm gonna not speak on it, or I don't. That sounds a little off. That's a touchy subject.
I don't know how to describe what I'm thinking, so I'm just not gonna try.
But that, and they don't want to ruffle any feathers. But the most beautiful thing about it is that, like, all right, God, honestly, bro, God, His love comes by choice. You know what I mean? And I learned that from a very beautiful individual in the last 3 years, that it opened my mind up to see God even in a more beautiful way. I think it was intentional to have free will, bro. Me. You know what I mean? I honestly think that. And it actually allows us to, what do we want to choose in life? Do we want to choose God? Do we want to choose this? Do we want to choose that? And I'm not putting, levels on or anything like that, but I'm just saying is that, like we just talked about, perception is truth. You know what I mean? And for you to find your avenue of which way you're going to go to seek that out, what truth is or what God is, you in no wrong of doing that, bro. I just want to say that to you.
For sure.
Because you got to have your own personal relationship. You know what I mean? And who's to say who has the right, wrong? You know what I mean?
I find that, I love that you say that, because I hear that a lot. You got to have your own personal relationship with God. But then you get people who claim to follow God that judge you for your relationship with God. Not that I'm personally worried about that, but that just seems so hypocritical.
Yeah,
Like,
I understand that.
Like what? Like, there's so many things about like the standard like religious community, especially in America in this day and age, that just is so like counterintuitive. They go against their own supposed faith. It's like people are just like following along, and they don't have that deeper understanding because it's like supposedly just laid out for them. Like, this is what it is. Whereas I feel like for me, I just kind of stumbled into it on my own. Right. And I think for me, I might have a deeper connection with what that is than some of those people, not to claim anything. I don't know if I wanted to say that, but I might have a deeper connection based on the way that I fell into, like, the way my journey has gone, than having had it laid out for me. Does that make sense? Was that clear? I don't know. But it's fascinating.
That's really good, man.
Yeah. It's a fun conversation because do you feel like you're in contact with your higher self? Not like maybe not constantly, but from glimpses, let's say.
No, I actually do more than glimpses, Justin, to be honest with you, bro. And sometimes like I get like I kind of got like real. This kind of happened when I was going into college. Like, well, I don't know if I was depressed, but I kind of felt like a lot of grief knowing that I can't shut off my consciousness. Because I'm constantly thinking about like bigger picture stuff, or just like, Do you ever
feel like disappointed when you're like, damn, is this really all that it is?
Yeah.
Because that's what keeps me going, is like,
yeah, man. But then I had to, and but that's how I started to look at it, especially once I got to be on my own in college. But what it took for me was like just going deeper into that personal relationship with God. Which actually I had a blessing. My shoulder, I had a shoulder injury. My sophomore year of college. And I felt like that was the perfect time for me to even have more time about this self-discovery. You know, it's true what people say about when people the thing that they say about when you go to college is really not necessarily what you're going to learn, what they teach you, but more so what you're going to learn about yourself. So I say all that to say, like, it really showed me who God was for me. You know what I mean? And I'm just very blessed, man, to know like it, the way I felt like that, it shifted my perspective on like, all right, but don't think too negatively. You know what I'm saying? Look at this from a positive aspect. You know, it's all just, it's a battle, bro, up here a lot of the time. You know, but
absolutely it is. And I think what's interesting about that is like the way I stumbled into my experience, journey, position, whatever, was through just life experience and really adversity. Right? You said it was like for you were feeling some major grief, some sadness, maybe even depression. And that seems like it's kind of like what awoke in that for you, right? That's why like that like cliche, like pressure makes diamonds. Nigga, pressure makes diamonds. Like it absolutely does. Like,
and they make emeralds too.
Emeralds? Talk to me about emeralds,
man. They make
man.
emeralds too.
So first and foremost, you made that shirt.
Created it. And
I think it's fire.
Thank you, bro.
Yeah.
I really appreciate it.
I don't say that lightly. I like it.
Thank you.
I really like it.
Thank you, bro. It has, so I try to think about concepts and when I'm creating fashion, because I want them to be perceived as art, as opposed to just something that's just a casual wear. I attach poems to them as well. And for this specific shirt, the poem that this shirt says "See My Heart." I'm gonna touch on that, what that concept is as well, and why I went with this certain style. But the poem is duality is not only my reality, it's my identity fighting for equality. So
hold on, I feel like I got to think about that. Duality is not my reality.
Duality is not only my reality, it's my identity fighting for equality.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's deep as fuck. Legit. I feel like there's a lot to dissect in that.
Yeah.
So take me through it.
So this is shed light on a poem. What I mean by duality is that white and black. I recognize that I'm mixed, and I recognize that my duality is not only my reality, but it's also who I am as my identity that's trying to fight for equality. With what I've experienced in life is I've been a part of my white family, my black family, and I've heard the racial divide, amongst white and blacks, especially in America, right? And from the dawn of time. So what I write, when I was thinking about, and it was just perfect in line to what, I mean, it's unfortunate what happened this year, and what's happened in the past, but it's in alignment of what erupted this year about racism. So I want people not only just to see me for my skin color, the white and black that's on this shirt, but I want what's been written across my chest is I want you to see me for my heart, and not just as my mixed identity, or me just being black from my melanin, or me not being black enough,
or just like what you can perceive in general.
Exactly, because I've been in some rooms where I've been around some black people where I'm not black enough, just based on them knowing that I'm mixed. Relate. And me being in, and I'm never accepted in white rooms sometimes because I'm not appeared as being white.
Who'd you spend more time with?
I spent more time with the black crowd, just because I felt more socially accepted right away when I was younger. So that was sort of how I went about it. But I was very open, man, to like all ethnicities, all races. I was never like outcasted to just because I'm black, I'm not gonna associate myself with white people or anything. I was very open to everybody, and that's the thing too. Is just I want people to see me for who I am, and that's the genuine authenticity that you were speaking about earlier. So, yeah, Justin, man, like when I think about just creating like pieces, for Emerald's brand, it's all in the name. It's just digging. You got to go find what you seek out. You know what I mean? You got to go find those gems or those emeralds, those diamonds, and so that's what makes them special.
Tell me more about how you are portraying ideas through your clothing. We kind of talked about that when I saw you the other day, and it's definitely something I'm interested in because, like, I like clothes, but like usually I just throw clothes on, mostly just clothes that are comfortable. I don't think too much about how they look. Of course, that factors in a little bit, right? I want to be comfortable, but then like look decent. But I'm not too worried about being like all fresh and having like the freshest kicks and the dopest shirt and whatever. It's just like if it's comfortable and like looks decent, I'm cool with that. So I don't really have like an understanding of how, like, what attracts you to clothing for one, and how do you convey ideas through clothing. I can understand this piece right here, but like take me through another example.
What attracts me is representation. I believe too, not only what you eat or what you watch or anything like that is how you represent yourself, or what you study is how you represent yourself, but also what you put on your body as well. In regards to tattoos, people are gravitated and attracted to tattoos, so they get tattoos. They wear their hairstyle a certain color, just anything that kind of curates your identity. But for me, it's about when I wear this, do I want to look casual? How do I want to look? How do I want to come off? You know what I mean? And so that I keep that in mind, is that I want to just have a good representation of when I create something.
Okay.
Yep. So that's really how I kind of just dive into what I want for Emeralds to be, is just a good representation of what you have on. And also not for myself too, but for everyone that wears it, is they're like in like-mindedness as a collective. And it's not so much a certain social class has to wear emeralds. You know what I mean? A certain class can only buy it. because it's expensive, or a certain class doesn't want it because it's too cheap. You know what I mean? I want it to be a thing where if you see emeralds on your body, someone else does, you know that they're not only just wearing something that may look nice by the eye, but it's a mentality. You know what I mean?
Yep.
When you see it, and that's a collective I want to build. So
dope. I can already imagine a bunch of dope ass imagery that could come out of that idea. Like
Thank you, bro.
Settings with like a whole line of clothing that's just like a vibe and like a representation of like individuality, but like group, like commonality. Also, that's a sense that I'm getting at. And
that's why I say duality is not only my reality; it's my identity fighting for equality. You know, it's pulling these groups together. Not only just black and white, but also classism, social class, like just pulling everyone together. You're gonna be represented through your individuality through this shirt, but it's also gonna be shared amongst a collective that think in the same aspect.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. When did you launch Emerald's brand?
Launched it. It was my senior year of college, so that would have been 2018 April. It was coming up on graduation time, so that was almost 3 years now, coming up next year. It went legit as far as like legitimacy, as far as IRS and taxes. 2019.
Okay. So you like filed as an LLC and started paying taxes and whatnot, like you said.
Yes.
I still got to do that too.
Yeah, man. It's not actually an easy process though. It's really easy.
I know it's easy, and people have like told me it's easy. I've read about it and whatnot, but I really should be processing my side business payments legitimately.
Hey, bro, if you need some help, just shoot me a text, Justin. I'll be more than help you. It's a few step process. It's really simple.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely, bro.
So how many people do you have like working around Emeralds with you?
Me and this phenomenal person right here, who I mentioned earlier, my lovely girlfriend and co-partner, Deja Hodges. Dope. Just me and her. It's we have
the jelly to your peanut butter.
Yeah, exactly.
Out here to make this bread.
That's right. hey, you look, see how you build off of that,
it works perfect.
I'm telling you. So look, we've included people as far as like models, or just like people that we curate for our shows each year. So we've brought in people that we consider trustworthy people, integral people, to kind of make manifestation happen with what we create. So but what's really cool is that me and her I lean on her more than anyone else, man, for this. And because she's gonna be honest with me more than most people will. She's gonna be just very like accountable, dependability, trustworthy, and she does just outside of that too. Like she just does incredible work. So
I think the greatest quality that you just listed there was being honest.
Yeah, man.
Because like I feel like nothing bothers me more when I'm trying to create something and I can tell someone's just like, yeah, it's cool. It's like,
yeah, man. They not
like, okay, it's cool.
Yeah.
How could it be cooler? Tell me your opinion, not just it's cool. Right? And I'm definitely guilty of that myself.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, true.
Because sometimes it's easier just to be like, yeah, it's cool, it's good.
Right.
Oh, nice work. Right. Than to like take a moment, actually digest it, and give feedback as to how it could be better. But you need that.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So.
Yes. Yeah.
Shout out Deja.
Shout out Deja Hodges. She the best.
Where'd I put my beer? Oh, okay. Thanks. I was just all of a sudden like tripping out, and it was gonna be bugging me for a little bit if I couldn't find it. So, so one of the questions I have written here is how is the fashion industry tainted, in your opinion, modernly? And how do you seek to, change it or influence it? In what way?
To answer your first question, Justin, I think it's tainted in a way that there's so much accessibility to any avenue, right? Now with how we have technology, which is also a benefit to those that can create. But there aren't many boundaries anymore to what is actually perceived as value. Because everything is so, the way it's tainted is copy and paste. Because everyone can kind of look into other people's worlds and take personality, adopt personality with creative processes.
With technology, kind of like you said, I feel like people have the same molds that they can use, right? The same like cookie cutter process.
Yes.
Like PixArt. Like PixArt is dope, but when you make something on PixArt, you know that that's like a photo editing app.
Right.
Like you know that it was made on PixArt though, because there's only so much that you can do on PixArt. Right.
And you know the most beautiful thing too is that like, right. You know the most beautiful thing too is like when you used to look at things that were like impossible to do or like hard to reach. That's when you used to be like, wow. You know what I mean? That wow factor was stuff that used to be like, dang, I can't imagine doing that.
So how are you gonna push that wow factor through clothing?
Well, I think what I'm gonna do and what I've continued to have done is already just be who I am, and the aspect of I'm not really a person that seeks attention. I'm not really a traditional entrepreneur in this sort of like entrepreneurial wave. I'm really what my brand name is, man. Is just something that you don't see often, but when you see it, you know, hopefully it can spark some inspiration in you, or it can make you feel something, and you know what I mean. And I think for me, it's just being scarce in an abundant world. You know what I mean? So
what I just thought of for some reason right now was how I think maybe the reason I haven't like dove into clothing, or not the reason I haven't dove in, but like why I don't like spend too much time figuring out what I'm gonna wear or whatever, is because I haven't found clothing that like stands out to me as like art in the way that we're talking about clothing, right? I'm like imagining clothing like a painting, where like you can look at a painting. I think I said this to you the other day, where not this whole thing, but like this piece specifically, it's like you can look at a painting and it can resonate with you in a different way than it resonates with me. I haven't found clothing that like stands out to me as like painting level expression of ideas. So
we're gonna keep aiming for that, Justin.
Yeah, I need to keep seeking, right? I need to keep seeking out clothing. And I mean, this shirt almost stands out to me as something like that, right? Where the way you describe the shirt and the inspiration behind it, the idea, I can see that perfectly. And that's almost like what, if I sat with this shirt long enough and tried to figure out what the artist was trying to convey with this piece, I might have fallen onto exactly what you were intending to come across with it, right? But I might have fallen across something a little bit different, right? But if it's a little bit different, I might still love it. It resonates with me in the way that I see it, right? So I'm gonna spend more time looking at clothes.
But hey, man, if you ever have some downtime, Justin, check out emeraldsbrand.com.
And everybody listening,
but
check out emeraldsbrand.com.
Anything, man, too. Just like, just anything, man, in regards to art, man. If you got anything, I would love to just check out in regards to art that kind of like inspires you. You know what I mean? Because I know you probably have some outside of clothing, just things that inspire you from an artistic level. You know what I mean? So I would love to check that out too. Yeah. I'll show you
some of the art that I've made.
Perfect.
Through just like photography and whatnot, but
love it.
I'll tell you, I got some crazy ideas, bro. Can't wait.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to collaborating with Deja on some photography sets. It's coming up. We have a couple extravagant shoots actually, like in the works of being planned, and they are just like collaborative, so like people can choose to be there and participate or not. But it's just about the art. So like we need more lenses and whatnot. So I might send you an invite to something like that. Because you know, like that word collab is like tainted, right? Like, nigga, don't hit me up for a collab for your modeling portfolio. What? Like, that's not a collab. I'm doing work for you. You're gonna pay me, right? Like, to me, a collab is where we're both bringing our authentic like ideas, our own perspective, and we're working with the environment around us, right? But we actually have an opportunity to produce something that we want to produce. A collab is somewhere you choose to be at because you want to be there, and you're producing it for your own expression, right?
Man.
Like a collab isn't, bro, I just, no offense, homie, if you're listening to this, because you were just in my DMs like 2 days ago. If you're like, bro, I just started modeling, you want to collab on a shoot sometime?
Yeah.
Nigga, no.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah.
Even though, like, my bad, I said yes because I didn't think about it yet.
Yeah.
I said yes to you, bro, but I'm not gonna name him. So.
Oh no, you good, man. But no, it's really just like this day and age of communication, man. Like there's so many like loose terms that get attached. You know what I mean? To like what needs to be, what's looked at as like friendship or brotherhood or sisterhood. You know what I mean? And like people use like loose terms in order for them to, but that's what I mean when I go back to saying like adoptive personalities. You know what I'm saying? That's what I think taints a lot of what social media is that people get an inside look on everybody's life like all the time. You know what I'm saying? Every day. People don't understand how much content is hitting them on a 24 hour, like all the time. You know what I'm saying? And that curates it being you being tainted yourself. You know what I'm saying? Because you have to, because now you're picking up all these mentalities, these personalities, and you making it you consuming it so much that it's becoming you. You know what I'm saying? Like you can get lost in that.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
And I mean, part of the issue there, I think, is that like on social media, not everybody is exposing their most authentic self. They're just exposing what they want you to see. We don't have the capacity to take in that much information in a day and process it appropriately and do what like compartmentalize it and put it where it's supposed to go. Right? We are just overwhelmed by this information overload, right? And people aren't expressing themselves authentically, so then we have a tainted perspective on the world, a tainted outlook, right? Because if I've never met you in person and you're the type of person who's just like, oh, like, I don't know. What bothers me about social media is it's so fucking like happy and everything's great and positive all the fucking time. And that's not real life.
Exactly.
Right? And it's either that or when I feel like sometimes, like, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of authentic people on social media, so I'm speaking real generally. But what bugs me a lot of the time is when, like, if someone has like something sad to talk about, it's almost like it usually comes off as if it's like just for the attention, right? And even if they might not even necessarily mean it that way, but the way they wrote that or whatever is like, because most of the shit that happens in my life, unless I need help, I'm probably not going to talk about it on social media. Thank you. Right? Or if like I use social media a lot of times as art to try and express myself authentically, or ask for help, or connect with like-minded people. But like, I don't know, like if my dog died, I don't know if I'm going to go be like, my dog died, sad face. Like, I'm not addicted to the likes so much that I have to expose. So it might just be the nature of social media is the like why it's so like positive, happy-go-lucky sometimes. But I don't know, the current just state of it just doesn't feel authentic and genuine. And I feel like I said before, I'm just going to be reiterating what I said before, but it's tainting people's outlook on real life, especially young people, if they're like living on social media damn near. Like, it's becoming an alternate reality, an alternate version of reality, right? Which, like, I hope someday, like, the internet and social media can be rather an extension of reality, but it being different than what life really is doing nothing good for anybody. So
I totally understand, man, what you're saying too. And people don't have to feel that. I think people have to feel the need to want to do certain stuff. You know what I mean? For it. And same thing like we were speaking about, like some people that hit you up or something that say like, hey, let's collab. But why? You know what I'm saying? I go back on, like, if it aligns, it has to align. You know what I'm saying? Some stuff, it has to be able to, like, I don't know, for me, bro, it's like, does it move me? You know what I'm saying? And then I don't want to just do something just because we know each other. You know what I'm saying? Like, we gotta, has to be something there that like, yeah, you know what I mean? Like, like for instance, when we got done with last Saturday's podcast, just your like-mindedness, I was able to do this. You know what I'm saying? Like just from our interaction right away. And it was like, it sparked in me to be like, yeah, there's no question. I want to come and do the podcast with you, Justin. I want to come do this. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And I'm glad you did. But that's how I feel like that's what we're lacking, I feel like, on social media. I think maybe that's what you're alluding to.
Absolutely.
Is that we're missing out on opportunity to have organic experiences.
Because of what's seen, people take from what they see. You know what I'm saying? And they try to adapt it to their real world. And it ain't the same. And that causes a lot of depressive states for a lot of young people too that live their life on social media.
And not to mention, like, social media makes us like vulnerable to social engineering, where like people with money and power can easily manipulate entire societies, right? Like the general divide in this country over the last election. Like, would that have happened the same way that it did if it wasn't for social media? There's no other form of media. Forget like mainstream media, because they have enough of their shit on social media too. Like these 60-second clips, like you said before, like people are like framing their perspective of the world based on these 60-second clips. And then when we have like we were talking about before, how we take in so much information, right? Blah, 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 information. And you get told something enough times, like that's going to be what you believe. I could tell you a lie 10 times a day for the next year, and I'll bet you at the end of that year, you're closer, if not already believing, if not already believing at the end of the year than the beginning of the year.
You know what's crazy is that, like, I see it more so in the beginning of the year, the way that social media is consuming people's minds, is that they believe it as soon as they see it.
I agree.
You can tell a lie. You can tell me 10 lies in a day and hook me before the end of the year.
Right. Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. I didn't want to sound crazy. You sound crazy. No, I'm just kidding.
Honestly, that's what I mean. I see it, man, and I see it not only just online, but I see it like in real time too, with people that, like, I'm just gonna say it, people I know. You know what I mean? And like, and sure, like I'm not saying that I'm an outcast, and I'm saying that like I don't fall victim in it too. But what I'm saying is that, like, it's become so much of people's lives. You know, I just don't want to see that.
One thing I've talked about this for a little while now is, I mean, you hear the cliche like time is money, right? And I think, to me, like, time and attention. I just tweeted this today, so of course I'm gonna talk about it, but it goes right in line with what we're talking about.
I gotta get your Twitter, man.
Do it. I say some outlandish shit on Twitter sometimes. Like,
that's all right. I'm here for it.
But like, time is money, right?
Yep.
And it's like the only real like currency that we have in this reality is our time and our attention. So time is money isn't just like paper money, but there's a reason we say spend time, right? Or what's the other one? Like affording your attention, right? Like there's a reason I think we use that language around those phrases, because like we are spending time. We have limited amounts of time, and you know, sitting down and us doing this conversation, like, I feel rich right now. I feel wealthy, you know? But when I'm doing, like, if I'm just like wasting time playing video games, like, granted, it's fun, and sometimes it helps me relax, take my mind off the rest of shit and whatever.
That's beautiful too.
But like during quarantine, I was playing like 15 hours a day of Call of Duty, bro. Like,
getting it. Yeah.
I could have spent my time and gotten so much more value spending that time somewhere else, right? Yeah. Granted, you know, who knows how, like, my coordination, I could have gotten real smarter and like got better at problem solving or something. But I probably should have been working out. I probably should have been stretching. Probably should have been reading books, meditating, all this different shit. And I wasn't, right? So the point of all that, time is money.
Yes.
What's the best way to spend our time, you think?
That's a good question, man. I think the best way to spend time is loving, really just being where you are in that time and just enjoying that. I've gotten so much fulfillment of just like wherever I'm at, I'm gonna enjoy it. I won't enjoy it too much, because too much of anything is not good for you, right? But wherever I'm at in the time, I just want to be more present. I think that's the best way to spend time, man. Like, for me, I've been working on, and it's something I've been working on this year, man, is not to feel down on myself if, like, I'm not being productive all the time. I used to get down on myself a lot. Productivity, I always wanted to be productive because I felt like I was wasting my time, or like I'm not getting anywhere if I'm not being productive. You know what I mean? Especially like a young man trying to figure out his way in life, trying to make money and do certain things. But what I figured out, man, is like this thing goes by real quick, and it goes quicker as you get older, which I'm understanding. So I've been learning, man, just like what fulfills me more is the now. So if that's just like me, I love black sitcoms. So if that's me coming home from work and I don't feel like creating and I need a debrief, I'll watch The Parkers. What's another one I like? I like them all, man. Fresh Prince. I like Jamie Foxx show. Just any one of those, man. I'm huge into black sitcoms. I love them. But I'm just saying that to say, like, I'll sit for an hour, not thinking nothing, just lay in my bed, not thinking nothing. Or I'll just like listen to me. I love just listening to music, not having nothing going on. And I like to even just clean, bro. I don't know if that's weird or not, but I like to just clean like my house, like a lot of the time.
That goes
like,
with
that's
what we were talking about
me,
at the beginning.
So
we were talking about crossing things out, even small things.
Yeah, because
right?
A lot of stuff is looked at as like, oh yeah, like a lot of stuff is like communicated to us and taught to us that like you should be doing this with your time. You should be doing this. You should be doing this. If you got work from 9 to 5. Come home, you should make dinner, then you should find like 4 or 5 hours to make your business grow more. You should be learning about in real estate, and then you should go do this, and then you should go do that. And all of that, like, it sounds really good, but people get tired. You know what I'm saying? From work. People don't have a good day every day. People don't want to be productive every day. You know what I'm saying? And what really is productivity if you enjoying your life? That's productive, because that once you're gone,
what do you have, right?
What's productivity really? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like
that was something that I think was important for me to learn in this past year. Also, and my girl had actually taught me it when we first started seeing each other, because she would see that within me, right? Like I'm not comfortable if I'm not being productive most of the time. Like today, I sat at work most of the day and I like didn't do shit. And typically, the beginning of the year, I would have felt like shit about it.
Bro, it used to bug me a lot. I'm still working on it too, bro. Trust me.
What she had told me was that like think of your life as a pie chart, right? Okay. And in your life you have things that you are responsible for. In like, I don't know if she said it exactly like this, but you need to get your work done, right? That's a piece of the pie.
Yes. But
you also need to like rest and recover.
Yes.
You need to relax.
Yes.
You need to clean your house.
Yes.
You need to sometimes you need to take a nap, which would be rest and recover. But the point was that like no matter what you're doing, you can give yourself credit for working on something that's in that pie.
Yes.
Right? You're fulfilling a need almost no matter what you're doing. Like even if you're using heroin, you're fulfilling a need, right? But you might not be fulfilling the need in a proper way. It might not be the best way to fulfill the need, but there's something in you that needed fulfillment that you're getting out of heroin, right? So, I mean, then we get into like healthy coping mechanisms and like just decision making in general. But that's what has helped me. I was just understanding that no matter what I'm doing, I'm working on something that I need, like I physically need it.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
And that goes into like perspective too, right? Was that out there? Or was that? Oh, whatever. I'm tripping. Because I hear this sound like twice when I have these in, because they're not like noise canceling, so it was extra trippy. But I'm gonna ask you a question.
Yes, sir. I'm ready.
It's a deep one.
All right.
You got to be honest.
I always try to be, man.
If you don't feel like you could be honest to any question, then just tell me not to ask it.
Okay, sounds good.
So should I ask the question?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. You ready?
Yep.
Okay. What did you not want me to ask?
Probably things about my personal life. In the aspect of like details about my family or details about my relationship. I like to keep that discreet. You know, because the people I value the most is my family and my girlfriend. And I would hate for anything to be, you know, put out there or anything in that regard that isn't a true representation of them and how I see it and how I see them. You know what I'm saying? Who they are and how I love them. So I like to keep that life to myself and away from anything else. You know what I mean? So that's one thing. Oh, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'd say I enjoyed that answer. You know, 'cause I think that speaks a lot just to your character, right? One thing that Dak and Steve pointed out was how, like, everything you got asked, typically the answer revolved around people other than yourself.
Yes.
Right. And I felt the same way with that question, right? When someone asked me that question, my answer was like, oh, I was afraid if you were going to ask me if I'm gay.
Oh, okay.
That
I have no problem if you ask me. I'm
no.
100%.
I'm just saying that's what, for some reason, that's what like I was afraid of at the time.
Oh, okay,
and it's like,
okay.
No, I'm straight and I know that.
Yeah.
But when I got asked that question, I was like, damn. For some reason, I was wondering if you're going to ask me if I'm gay, because
I get what you're saying.
So it's interesting that your perspective on that immediately goes to thinking about your family and your girlfriend and people outside of yourself.
Yes.
Whereas like my initial reaction at the time that I was asked this question a few years ago, it was like to immediately like oh, I feel vulnerable, right?
Oh, okay.
Like this is about me, right?
Yeah.
Like what don't I want you to know about me? And I guess the setting's a little bit different because we're on a podcast and whatnot, but and like when I had that, it was in private. We were sitting like poolside and just the two of us, right?
Right.
So yeah.
And I definitely feel what you're saying too, Justin, because to get in that vulnerable state can kind of feel like, you know, like, oh, I don't want nobody else to know, which is totally respectable. You know what I mean? But I've like I said, man, just in the beginning of this podcast, like I've had the luxury of time to like work on myself and know myself, to know that I've built up my security in myself. So if you ask me anything about me, I'm not afraid to vocalize that. You know, I'm not afraid to tell you the truth, because for whoever may see this, they can pick me. The world can pick me apart, you know, and they can come at me or whatever. I know who I am. I'm secure enough to know that if you want to say that I'm not straight, then you can believe that if you want to. As long as I know that I am, and the person I'm with knows that, then what does your opinion really matter? You know what I'm saying? But when it bugs me when the people that I love truly are attacked or they try to misrepresentate those people, that's when that gets to me.
Have you ever had in your life where like publicly someone is trying to misrepresent something that you've said?
Not from an internet standpoint. I don't believe that I can recall in my head or to my face. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's right. Yeah, that's right. That's a good one.
Is it something you want to talk about? If not, it's okay.
No, I can speak about it, man. So there was, when I was in college, me and my coach at the time, we had miscommunication.
And wait, what sport? Just for context.
Basketball.
Okay.
Basketball. We had miscommunication about how he perceived me and how I perceived what he perceived about me. If that, you know what I mean? So there was things that he said to me that it wasn't true about. It was things that my appearance gave off a certain perception to him, but I didn't think that he would ever say these things to me. Just because he's gotten to know me over some years to know that what my true character is, who I am as a person. He knows me to be a nice guy. So I didn't think in my imagination that he would say that, especially being that. And I know this too. I know why. After some time of just conjuring and thinking about it, after some time, I know his perception was that he was looking out for me. And I understood why after a while, where he came from. But I wanted him to, I didn't feel like he was understanding where I was coming from. That's what kind of like the friction, it caused friction. So it was just based on my appearance, like how I would like dress sometimes or just kind of like carry myself. But it wasn't in a way that he perceived it to be. It was mainly, I know who I am. I'm secure enough to know who I am that if I feel like how I want to dress this way, how I want to speak this way, how I want to behave this way, it's just where you got to accept me for where I am at that time. You know what I'm saying? And so that's all that was. Okay. But that was a good one though. I forgot about that one. But because usually, man, people receive me pretty well, I would say, most of my life. I haven't come across people that don't perceive me like in a negative light. I got things to say about me. If they do, then they usually don't say it to my face.
I feel like, honestly, being mixed gives us an advantage in that way.
Shed light on that. What do you mean?
Just as in like, like I can relate to not feeling like I fit into any particular group, but at the same time, I can fit into any group that I want. Where like I'm like a free agent almost. And sometimes I'm perceived that way. Most of the time I'm perceived as black, but sometimes I'm perceived in a way where I can just like fall in over here, and then like when I'm not feeling it, I can fall in over here. Like I kind of lost my point.
You just saying like, you know, with us being mixed, that we can sort of just be just kind of be more, just a little bit accepted in this group or accepted in this group.
What did I say right
can kind of have. Go ahead.
What did I say right before that?
I believe it was
my bad.
Perception. Being able to fit into specific groups. Was it that, or was it? Might have been a certain line though, too.
Yeah.
But that's all right though.
Let's get over it.
That's
I forgot
right.
what I was saying, to be honest.
Right.
I just had a brain fart.
I know where you go, man. I know where your heart is at, so it's all good.
So what ultimately is it going to make for you to take it, you think? Or what is it going to take for you to make it, you think? And what does make it mean to you?
I think what it's going to take is me to continue to be, keep my integrity, keep my accountability. It's also going to take more life experience and also more connectivity to people, just to share perspective and just dive deeper about like what this whole thing means. You know what I'm saying? What this whole living thing means. And I think for me making it, man, is honestly, Justin, just it's a continual thing, man, for me. You know, I don't look at anything in life as a destination. For me, it's continual, man.
So you've already made it.
Yeah, I have. I will, and I'll continue to.
Because that's personally how I feel. That's what my answer would have been, and I feel like you just said that same thing.
Yeah,
just
man.
in some different words.
Yeah,
it's
man.
like we've already made it. And it's just continuing to be ourselves.
It is, man. And that's where I'm glad you just said that too, because that's where success lies. That word success is not what you can attain, but it's what you become to know about who you are. Success is really just learning who you are. That's it, man.
Mm-hmm. Hell yeah. I feel that.
That's it.
I feel that.
Yep.
That's it. I feel like that's a good place to stop the show too.
Oh, that's perfect, man.
What else do you have to add that you want to go out with?
Thank you, bro. I would just encourage everyone that's listening, visit my website, emeraldsbrand.com. Please go to the content page. When you click that, you can watch me and Deja Hodges fashion film. It's called Set in Stone.
I watched it.
Thank you, bro. We also created other poetry films, just a bunch of content. We created a sort of like a Rap Genius inspo for the book Out Loud, where I shed light on and go in depth about my poetry and certain lines and things like that.
That's dope. That's valuable, I feel like.
Yeah, man. I would definitely encourage you to go check that one out.
One thing I talked about recently with somebody is how, like, it's interesting nowadays, like we want to understand the meaning of a piece of art.
Oh man, I'll keep going, man.
Where
I gotta shed light on something too. Go ahead.
I feel like if I would have lived a long time ago, and there was some profound painter, like, because art wasn't as big back then as it is necessarily today, but it was maybe more seeked out than it is today too. But I feel like I wouldn't be so caught up necessarily in what does this mean. I'd feel like I would just see it for what it was and take away from it like what I get out of it.
Yeah.
But nowadays it feels like we have this desire to know, what does this mean?
Man, I'm so glad you said that, man. That's something that I actually learned this year. One of my favorite battle rappers, he actually said it. And I'm not sure if he got it from someone else either, but he said that imagination is better than knowledge.
I fucking feel that.
It's exactly what you just said, is like not knowing. Knowledge is so many people are caught up in, well, how do I make it? I want to know the answers. I want to know the answers. I want to know the answers, right? And they want to know the meaning. They want me to tell everything that I wrote, but it's more beauty in you telling me what you got out of this, though. That's the depthness of it, and that's what allows me to think outside. Now I can see it from a different way. That you got something else out of this, because I can tell you everything that I went into it, but what
do you get?
Yeah, and it's art, right? So you gotta go ahead.
No, sorry to keep cutting you off.
No, you good, man.
So
I love it.
I had someone hit me up to do a cover art for them today, and like I kind of hesitated to ask, like, well, do you have any ideas for this? Because I'm curious if they had something in mind that they wanted to make, but I didn't want to know what it was. Like, I was just curious if they had any ideas. So I hesitated to ask because I didn't want them to tell me their ideas for what they wanted it to look like.
Right.
So his response, though, was perfect, where he was like, well, I kind of have an idea, but I want to know what you think. So he sent me the album on release. He's like, listen to this, and then tell me your ideas of how you want to represent it on the cover art.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yes.
Like that's to me, that's a collab.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, let me express myself through your art almost. Like, I got to produce something new through your artwork, but it's like my perspective of what you've produced, and then we'll kind of tweak it from there.
Yes.
Right. Like that's so much more of a project I want to be a part of than than that collab for Homie's modeling portfolio. Man,
exactly. That's I agree with you 100%, bro. 100%.
Yeah, I think that's 100%. Important.
Yes.
One other thing too, I remembered I had a follow-up question earlier. I asked you, do you feel like you're in tune with your higher self?
Yes.
And my follow-up question to that was supposed to be, did you put yourself here?
Did I put myself
in this reality?
I would say I'm very in tune with my higher self. I don't believe that I don't believe I put myself, but I also that's, you know what, man, that's really good, because there's I believe that what I believe is that I believe that God, for what I know God to be, created mankind, right? And so I also believe that God is in me too. So I think it's in parallel, if that makes sense. Like, I believe that I'm connected. I'm able to connect to my higher self because I was created to be. Mm-hmm. You get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. To reach an infinite source of truth. You know what I mean?
I do.
Yeah, and to reach the creator.
Mm-hmm. I feel silly sometimes where like I ask a question because I want to answer that question.
That's all right, man.
Look, it feels kind of goofy though.
Nah,
like,
man, that's you. I mean, that's in all of us.
Like
that's in all of us, bro.
I genuinely wanted to hear your response.
Yeah.
But like, just as much, I wanted to give you
my opinion. Let me hear your opinion though.
So it's almost directly in line with kind of like what you ended up with there. Okay. But it's like, to me, right? So if man is created, if God created man in God's image, and if I have a higher self, that higher self is more likely than not also a part of God or God itself. So if my higher self is a part of God also, and I'm created in the image of God, I likely created myself in order to have this experience. And for whatever reason I put myself here, there's probably a lot of takeaways from this, third dimensional meat vessel experience.
Hey, bro, that's really good because, you can also perceive God to be a noun and be a verb. You know what I'm saying?
Kind of.
So people have an image. I don't think people understand, like, okay, so there's what I've been taught just in the Bible, right? That there is the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, right? The Father, who's looked at as the noun of creator of all, right? Can't see him, right? Then you have the Son, who was actually God in the flesh, man. Then you have the Spirit, which actually is
consciousness, or sorry, I didn't mean to jump.
No, that's fine. It's exactly. It's in you. It can be perceived as the heart, consciousness, any way, sort of that connection, right? That intuition. Emotional connection or mental connection, that like how music moves people, right? Some people say that music is spiritual, like gospel songs or just any music, right? That can resonate with you. Music is spiritual. It's a certain vibration, right? That can move you, stimulate you. So I'm saying that to say, like, people have imagery of what God is to them, right? He can be looked at as a noun. He just is what he is. I am what I am. And then you have where people who get to self-discover themselves a little bit more about what God is, they start to understand that, wow, God created me to have power too. You know what I'm saying? He's actually living inside of me too. The way I can speak, the way I can behave, he becomes a verb now. He becomes action. You get what I'm saying?
I do. Yeah.
And then the Holy Spirit is the connectivity aspect. He's thinking the same thing I'm thinking about God. How do we form? You know what I'm saying? Or like, how does this work? Music, spirituality. It's all the Holy Spirit that works. It's the thing that we don't, the consciousness. It's the thing that's like, why did I think about this day? You know what I'm saying? That's how I think about. But,
and I think about it. I think in the exact same way. Okay. I think of like body, mind, and spirit. But it's the same thing that you just described. That's why when you were gonna say heart and consciousness, that's why I jumped in and I was like consciousness, because I was I know where you're going, like I feel it. But I mean, of course, like intuitively, though, we only have so many experiences, but there's levels, right?
Yes.
And I think ultimately, like, my goal being in this plane is to align the three. I need a healthy body to enable a healthy mind to get me in tune with the spirit, right? Or maybe I have a healthy body. I need to work on my mind to get in tune with the spirit, right? I need to align myself to be in tune with this higher self. So
Man.
Deep.
Man, bro, we got so much to talk about.
We got a lot to dissect.
Forward. Yeah,
I feel like you could teach me a lot.
Same with you, bro.
Because,
Same with you.
I'm teachable. Like, sometimes I like to pretend like I have so many ideas and I got it figured out. But actually, I'd rather learn, right? So I really am curious about other people's feelings on this conversation. Because for me, and I feel like for you, it's almost like intuitive. Like this, it's flown naturally. It's taken me time and experience to get to this point where like I can articulate it in this way, but it feels just intuitive. Like this, it's what we're saying is right. It just feels right. You know, I'm not going to claim that it is, but it's just what it is through my perspective. But intuitively, it feels like this is what it is. Yes. What we're talking about. So with
beautiful.
Let's get the fuck out of here. I have to pee really bad.
Hey, that's all right, Justin. Hey, bro, I just want to say this real quick before you go. Thank you, bro, for just having me on, taking the time to allow me to come here and just be on your platform and to speak, just have this type of dialogue, and also just shed some light on what I'm doing as well. But I just want to say, bro, I did learn from you tonight, and I just really appreciate you, bro. Like, I really, really do. And just want to say thank you, and thank you, bro.
Likewise.
And I hope that you just continue to prosper, man, in self-discovery, and you just keep evolving as a human being.
For sure. I appreciate you, brother Isaiah.
You got it, bro.
Absolutely.
You got it.
This is good shit. All right. Well, this has been the We Are One podcast. Brother Isaiah over here. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. If you made it this far, about an hour and 20 minutes, a little bit less than usual, but we got through a lot.
Yeah, we did.
We got through a lot.
We did.
This might be the best podcast so far.
Oh man, that's what I'm talking about.
I said that live on the air, so you know I mean it.
Oh man,
I'm making that declaration.
Thank you, bro. Thank you. We gonna have even in the future, bro. We gonna have some more. Yeah.
Look out for like a We Are One event too. I'm trying to host like when this COVID shit's over, like all the guests that I've had on, like come to one place and maybe have like a stage where we can all podcast and maybe like mingle at like some food. My homegirl Amani might cater it, whatever. And then we all just kind of chill and vibe. And everyone that's been on this show gets to meet each other now. Because I mean, like we all are kind of we're not doing the same thing, but we're like in just about the same place.
Yeah.
Spiritually.
Connectivity, man. Collective.
Because we are one, you know what I'm saying?
That's all it is, man. That's a great way to sum up everything we said.
Absolutely.
We are one. Yeah.
We are one. Appreciate y'all. Peace out. Peace and love. Deuces. Goodbye. I don't want to leave. It's like when you're on the phone with your girl, y'all just like, you just met and you're like in that like deep honeymoon phase. You can't get enough of one another.
Oh man.
Or do you guys still have that going?
Cause we still got that. Yeah,
damn.
Bro, what's crazy is that.
Hold on. Let me hit end.
Oh,
yeah.
Tell